Hello, good evening everyone. Welcome to this Friday's AMA session. If you can see me and hear me clearly, please type hi in the chat box. Right, and also first day first, Happy Chinese New Year for all my Chinese friends. If you are not celebrating, right, also I hope you enjoy the holiday. Right, it's a good old 3 days of raining. So I hope y'all manage to chill at home. Okay, I see message coming. Yeah, happy Chinese New Year, everyone. Thanks. Okay. All right. Okay, now wait. Okay. Good. All right. So let me share my screen first. Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, same thing, we will start tonight's AMA session, right? We always, as usual, right? Although, to my surprise, there's so many of you who I know definitely do celebrate Chinese New Year who actually came, right? A nice 2-4 night dedication, right? Good job. Okay, so let's take a look at the market, right? So I remember Western New Year, that month I was like so happy, right? Beginning of the year, after celebrating the New Year, I was like, okay, looks like we're having a nice rebound and stuff, right? But Chinese New Year, same as last year, we can actually see the more of like a shoot of bearishness and a lot of drops for the past few days, right? So generally, right now, if I look at the market, right, generally I have turned into a more bearish looking buyer's setup, right? Because if you look at the major coins, for example, Bitcoin, right, you can see the price movement is definitely a little bit of on a weak side, right? Ever since it broke below the 70K, right, for the past few rounds of retest, it's actually getting weaker and weaker, right? So, and even if you look at the daily time frame, right, it has already clearly turned into a downtrend movement, right? So next, of course, along this range, right, for me personally, I will focus more on looking for short trade setup. But of course, there are certain tokens, certain coins, right, in the bear market. If there's any good news or in terms of narrative, they actually have, slightly more on like the upside. You can see breakouts too long, right? But generally speaking, when I look for trade setup, right, then I'm looking more on the short setup, right? And we can see that after two retests of the 69K, 70K range, right, we are actually seeing a sign of BTC heading towards like a low 60K range. If we break below, right, then we have the 50K range for it to drop, right? Not say, we don't know when or where will it find the actual support. Will it be 65K or one step below 50K range until 47K range? We don't know yet, but as far as we can see now, right, this is the next key level we want to see Bitcoin be able to hold, right, about 65K. And same for Ethereum. If you take a look, right, Ethereum looks a bit more bearish to me, right? Because ever since it broke below the 2.1k range, right, the retest, same thing, is getting a bit weaker, and then now it's actually testing the 1.9k support. Because if we were to zoom out, you can see that for 2.1k for Ethereum is actually the support that held many times, even during crashes, right, in the past 1 year, in 2025, right? And when they break out based on history, it can really dip a bit further before it shows a proper rebound, right, for us to look for more opportunity to long or even start to accumulate coins, unless you are that kind of uh, you are that kind of investor who do DCA, or if you think that anything below 2k for Ethereum is a cash for you, right? But for people who actually want to wait for more positive, more bullish confirmation before they turn back on their buying or longing for Ethereum, now it definitely looks like more of an uncertain, more of a to be confirmed phase to me. Right? And yeah, so based on that, right? So today, if let's say we look at the USDT, right? Because one thing is we know during holiday season the trading volume is usually a bit lower, where you can actually expect a lot more volatility happening, because when there's not much people trading, and then when the market is generally trading on a low volume, right? If certain like organizations or personnel who decide to focus on trading one token, then this is where you easily see like pump and dump kind of play, right? So do be more cautious when you trade, especially smaller market cap token, right? If you look at the USDT, right, I'm also definitely still keeping my bearish biasness, because although, right, you see the bigger range of USDT to move based on the recent support and resistance, right, it's actually within this zone, right? But it does happen, right, just like this time, right, when a pull back, right, where then you see like short-term pumping of the market, right, it actually find support at this midline here, right, and then bounce back up, right, then from here to here, right, that's where I will be looking for more of a short trade setup in the market, right? And previous candle, if we zoom in a little bit, you can see the previous 4 hours candle, which just closed at 8 p.m., actually give me a bullish candlestick, bullish engulfing candlestick pattern, right? And the recent candlestick, although it's not closed yet, right, but generally based on this candle, I'm already more or less confirmed about my bear, basically short bias when I look for trade. All right. And before we move on, one thing though, right, later I'll be sharing a few trade setup I'm personally looking at. But just one thing, later we do have PCE happening at 9:30, right? So if you want to be more cautious, plus today is a Friday night, right, then I will suggest you to hold your horses. But just to share a few trade setup I spotted, right? Today for MWA, right, we have our Chinese New Year celebration this afternoon. So we just come back home, and then I was looking at charts. So one of it I was looking at is Ondo, right? As you can see, previously it break down and retested from 200 MA, right? I traded last night, and but already take profit, right? So now, because earlier this morning there's a slight of pullback in the market, right? A bit of a rally. So you can see many of them actually went back up. But one of the trade that I'm looking at for Ondo, right, is you can see it actually went back up, retested the 50 MAA plus the trend line, actually got rejected. And the previous well, I'm looking at 1 hour chart. The previous candle was a bearish engulfing candle, right? So for me, as I always set the alert, if let's say the current price goes below the low of this bearish engulfing candle, right, then that's where I will enter for a short. The TP, just ignore this from my previous previous trade. I haven't changed, but basically the trade I'm eyeing is something like this. Right, just now my alert actually ran, like, because at one point, right, the candle actually kind of dipped below 0.2618, which is where I set my alert. But as I mentioned, there's an event happening in 20 minutes. I don't want to take the risk, right? But if later on the result do announce and then the price still there and then the bearishness remains, right? That means we don't see pump in the market, then I might, if I still can enter, right, I might come back and take a look at it. And then another one I'm looking at is TIA, similar, right? Also, it break down and retested the 50 EMA. But obviously, if you look at this trade, right, I don't even need to draw. You can see the risk to reward ratio is not as ideal as Ondo, right? Similar story, but Ondo was much closer at the 200 MA, right? So my stop loss I can afford to have a relatively tighter stop loss compared to TIA, right? TIA, if I were to play safe and put my stop loss above previous high, is actually not so ideal, right? And then another one is Panda. Yeah, Panda is similar. I think TIA can move. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So Panda, similar story, right? It also got rejected by 200 MA, right? And also shows a breakdown and retest. Right? But one thing about Panda is I'll be more careful because Panda the volatility is relatively more, right? You can see previously there's a pump, right? So if I were to compare Ondo and Panda, I personally will feel Ondo will be safer, right? But in terms of risk to reward ratio, if we put above 50 MA, yeah, also this one will be slightly lesser, not so ideal as compared to Ondo. Okay, and then another one I'm looking at is WLFYI, right? You can see this setup will be very different compared to the other two. Yeah, the other two are obviously already on a downtrend on 1 hour time frame, and then they are trading below 200 MA, right? But for WLFY, it's a bit different because recently it had the pump, broke out from 200 MA, it pumped all the way to a new resistance, right? So right now what I'm looking at for this one is you can see it's taking forever. It's like taking a long time to accumulate, right? So for this is possibly what potential trade I'm looking at is possibly a breakdown if this support doesn't hold, right? That means it closed below, right? Then I will see more room for it to go, something like that. Okay, so this is a very different setup compared to Ondo and Panda. So as you can see, these are the three tokens I'm keeping in my watch list. Right, Ondo, yeah, it's already technically. I mean, if it wasn't for the events happening later, actually this I will be in the trade already because just now you see the alert got triggered again. Right. Okay, and that's all from me. Now is AMA time for you guys. All right, for the past few days, if you all have any, you do spend time look at charts or take trades, or this evening before you come for the session, were you all looking at any potential trades? Let's share and analyze together. And if you are new, just finish your classes. If you have any questions regarding anything, ask away. Anything regarding the trading, right? Do ask. Okay, while waiting for questions coming, I'll just, as usual, like go through my watch list, see if we can spot any more potential trades for tonight. Okay. As you can see, Tau is showing a similar setup. Just previous candles are relatively small. So if this candle is more bearish, it can be used as a confirmation candle, right? But one thing is because Tau is from the very like very strong narrative, which is AI, right? And also recently it had a pump because it got listed, so the price actually has gone up quite a bit, right? So if in terms of volatility, Tau is showing quite a fair bit. So when I short this token, I'll be more cautious. What is the indicator name that shows buy and sell on your chart? Okay. This is not an indicator available um, TradingView itself, right? Because recently, first of all, AI is automated trading is such a thing, right? So I've been recently attended a course and applying what I've learned in terms of using automated and coding AI coding to help me trade. So this this indicator uh, is something I'm creating and just back testing now, right? So basically, it just helped me to catch more of for this particular one. I think is the one I'm using breakout from 200 MA, right? So by by using the AI coding, it definitely helped me save a lot of time to catch the ones that matches our criteria when you want to find a breakout. And so far, as you can see, it's actually giving me quite a bit of positive signals, right? That help me to shortlist. And because I using the TradingView's Pine coding, so I can actually I can actually let it run alert automatically, right? So I don't need to manually go and look for trades like that often, right? But this is just so far the one I'm getting positive result is the 200 MA breakout. For the retesting one, I am still doing adjustment to it, right? So if it work out, right, I will definitely share with you guys. But for now, it's not uh, it's not ready out there in the trading view. Thomas, the competition result is out, yes, but you can ask in the group chat. Am I able to share more about how its overall situation at the moment? As I mentioned, most of the tokens, to me, they are looking weak at the moment and definitely on the downtrend, right? So more of a bearish uh, bias when it comes to the current market movement. Right? So until any of those tokens find a strong support and actually, like for example for Bitcoin, right? If it has to retest 60K, then obviously from here to here, that's where I will look for short, right? And then when it touches around 60K range, then I will need to see how it react to it. Can it bounce, right? But until a U-turn back above 72K, right, then obviously it will stay in the downtrend, right? So till then, I will remain bearish. Okay, how Zcash 1 hour? Why short it below if it closed below 254? Zcash. I assume you got a typo. Should be ZEC you are referring to, I guess. Let's take a look. Why short if we close below 254? 254. Okay. I mean, if we close below 254, it will be a breakdown. Plus, there will be a lower confirmation of a lower low, like that. Yeah, so it can be a potential short. But one thing I won't like, right, is the fact that if it close below, right, if we look at the past history, we look at 1 hour, right, if we look at 1 hour chart, right, if we break below, let's say we have a bearish candlestick pattern close below the line, right, our entry will roughly plus minus around this range, and our next support line, obviously there's one here, right? So in terms of the very immediate potential take profit will be about 8% till it reaches here, right? But if I were to put stop loss, right, if I want to put a very tight stop loss right above the recent highs, that's already more than 8%, right? If you want to be more safer, right, then you put below 200 MA, that will be more than 10%, right? So the risk to reward is not that ideal to me. So I would prefer something that has not moved that far from 200 MA to short. Unless you plan to, I mean, there are people who practice like putting a tighter stop loss when they break down. That means they either put the stop loss right above the resistance or somewhere here, right? Then we can squeeze out a risk to reward ratio of 1, still okay. So it depends on how you manage and set your trade. For me, usually I would prefer, if possible, I prefer to put my stop loss above a stronger resistance. Then to me, this trade won't be as ideal. How do I put TP1 and TP2? For deciding TP, very simple. Always look to your left, right? So when I enter this trade, just for a short, I just look what are the previous support that can potentially be my TP. Like for example, if I were to short here, then obviously previously when it go down to this level, it stopped, right? So obviously this range is where I will take my first profit. Then same thing for then, right after this, we don't see any more support line nearby. Then we just move back a little bit more to the left, right? Then if I look here, then based on the past candles, that we can obviously find another support. Previously it was resistant, right? But potentially it can be a new support, right? This value level, right? Then that's how I decided to put my second TP here. Okay, then same thing. You just keep looking back. Like previously, you just look for the obvious candle, like tips or highs or lows, whatever you call it, right? Then all of this was a price point or level previously the coin has react to when they are on the move, right? Then for me, those are references when I take them into consideration of shorting or long, right? So same thing if for long, if you were to do long, right? For example, use here as an example, right? If I were to long here, right, then obviously I'm gonna look to the left, right? When this, where you can see there was resistance here, then that will be my TP1, right? If I enter a trade, if I enter along here for breakout, right, then when it reaches here, that will be my TP1 because previously there's a resistance. And then when it reaches here, that will be my TP2 because previously there's another resistance. Then no more here, no more already. Then look back to the past a bit more. I see another resistance here, TP3. Then move on from there, another TP here, my TP4. Okay. I mean, how to set the TP during limit order for the trade to close automatically? Whatever platform you are using, right? When you enter the limit order, choose limit order and then enter, right? Below, there will be a TP/stop loss option. If you take that, you can actually enter your TP and stop loss together when you are entering the trade. But if you have multiple TP lines, right, then when you place the order, you will need to do more manual work. That means when you place the order, you can only put one TP, right? Then only when you are already in position, right? That means you are already the trade is already under your open position, right? Then only you can go in and put multiple TP. So when you are placing the limit order, you cannot put many TP. That's the only thing that you need to do manually. Bitcoin dominance is downtrend. Can consider other coin will come up. As I said, to me, majority of the token are downtrend, right? For Bitcoin dominance to go down, okay, I mentioned before for dominance percentage, right? It's basically how many percent, like if we consider the crypto market as a whole piece of cake, right? It just the percentage, dominance percentage shows how many percent, how big is your pieces of this particular token is occupying among the whole cake, right? Bitcoin dominance going down, yes, it means other tokens start to take up more percentage, right? But it doesn't mean other token might go up. It could be generally the market is going down, the cake is getting smaller, right? Bitcoin drop a bit more, but because Bitcoin, the market cap is huge, right? The amount of money volume is holding is huge. So for it to drop 1%, it could mean many like billions of dollars, right? For other token to drop, like for Bitcoin to drop 1% is we're talking about millions, right? But for other token to drop 10%, maybe few 100K, right? So in terms of percentage, it might be like the proportion might change, right? But not necessarily meaning that if Bitcoin dominance go down or go up, means others will the percentage of other tokens dominance percentage is gonna go up and down, right? If they become imbalanced with Bitcoin, right? But doesn't mean the coin price gonna change that way. Okay. Okay, short Pepe. Let me see Pepe. No, Pepe already broke down quite a bit from 200 MA. Want to short now if it break below 0.401. 0.000401. Oh wow. Here. If you're waiting for it to break down this level, then yeah, it's definitely a breakdown trade, but it's a bit far because like if you see the past, one thing is see here there's another support, and when they break below, right, then later it break below 200 MA. So here already had two breakdown. can it go below? Possible, because honestly I see a lot more room for market to go down further, like personally what I see, right? But for you to wait for it to break down this level, let's see how long does it take to go down, because if it's like one candle go down, right, that means in the next few hours or half a day, if it happens, right, then your recent resistance is here, right? So technically our stop loss need to be here, right? Then next support I can roughly see is about here. See, right? Then that means when you short, you need to expect when it go down here, it might stop or take a break or something like that, right? Then if we treat it that way, then the risk to reward ratio is not so ideal. But if when it comes around this level, it actually take a few more candles, few days, right, to actually do a more smooth movement with accumulation like that, then a breakdown, then by then I think the trade setup will look nicer to me personally, because if it does this, when I short later, first of all, right, the 200 MA gonna even out together with the price movement, so by then the 200 MA won't be so high up there, right? Then also I might be able to get a new stop loss based on the recent highs once they formed, right? Then by then I will have like 200 MA maybe already smooth out here, right? Like sorry. Yeah, so for 200 MA to be something like that, smoothen out already, and then I have a new high, then my stop loss could be at a more it will be a nicer value to me lah, basically, right? So I will see how it break up, because for meme coin, sometimes it could be slightly crash, then one candle down, right? If that, like for example, this current candle, if suddenly it shoot down like how many percent? Yeah, 3%, and then close below, then I probably will prefer not to short immediately, even if it close below the support line, but rather I would prefer to wait for a retest. That means if it two candle down, then I would prefer to wait for a retest to test your support level, which is 401, like that, and then I short. Right, so ideally I will short under two scenarios. One is if it smoothly come down and give me a breakup, right? If not, I will prefer to wait for a retest after if it's a sharp breakup. Okay. How to put multiple TPs? What platform are you using, Nick? Okay, for Ningo, that's my thoughts on Pepe if I were to short. Okay, but personally, I don't really trade much of meme coin. But Pepe is one of the bigger market cap meme, so still okay lah. Right. For the price that are on the right shows green on the present. The prices that are on the right shows green on the present price, but what does the price in red, blue, maroon, black means? Basically when you do your trading view setup, you actually choose to show the. So for me, the reason there are so many numbers in different color is because I actually chose to show the values, right? So so I actually chose to show the values of my lines. So you can see the corresponding color with the lines here. So for example, you see purple price, purple value, obviously the value of my purple line, which are the support and resistance line I've drawn. Then brown, you can see in the indicator wise have EMAs and 200 MAs. Then corresponding color is the value of the indicators. Yeah, so if you like, because for me, if it will be easier if I can find the value, right, instead of go and look at the line and roughly gauge. So if you don't have it now and you want to see the value, then just change it in setting. Make sure you take the value, show value of the lines. During a breakout, do we look at USDT and BTC charts well before entering? If I do, what do I look for? I look at USDT and BTC before I start to look for trade setup. Right. So for example, just now what I mentioned, like based on I go to see USDT and BTC first, and I decided, okay, I'm on short bias. And then when I go to look at coins, I'm looking for short setup, be it breakout, be it short with the trend. So it's the opposite sequence. Then when I go down to individual token, then when I look for breakouts, I look for the volume and RSI accordingly. Right? I don't go back and Bitcoin. I don't go back to Bitcoin and be like, do I really want to short? Like it's the other way. For Ondo, first of all, if you see if you are in our chat and you see when I post my trade, Ondo is one coin that I trade very frequently. All right, so I always look at it. And Ondo previously, why I think there's like previously I already mentioned I have shorted it when it break down from 200 MA and retested. Right, that's my first trade. And then because when it hit my TP1, then obviously I moved my stop loss. So this morning, when it pulled back, I'm already out of the trade with some profit. Right, so just now when I come back and look at the chart, because it's still in my watch list, then I can see that although it pulled back, but it's not breaking above the resistance. That means it's still holding the downward movement. Then when it get rejected from the trend line, we then later confirm with a bearish engulfing candle. That's where I decide, okay, actually it looks like a good setup to short again, right? So that's how I decided to keep it in my watch list. Okay. So, it's hitting TP100. Wow. Yeah. But then again, play safe. Right? You just started already, 9:30. If you, as I said, so if it wasn't for the PC to happen at 9:30, right? Just now when the alert ran, because it is my entry, right? I will have shorted it again. Oh well, rather to be safe than sorry. How do I place limit order in Bitfunder? It immediately entered at market price after setting TP and stop loss. Putting limit order definitely will not be just switch to a market order just because you put in stop loss and TP, right? So if you're not sure, simply just do a screenshot when you place the order, right? Then you can ask for our tech support, right, in the group chat. Like when I place order, what did I not take correctly? They changed my stop limit order to a market order. Okay, most likely the option you choose has already become a market order when you enter the stop loss and TP, right? Because market TP and stop loss, if you put them in advanced menu, they will be market order, but for the entry order you are putting, if you choose limit order, if it will be a limit order, it won't change, it won't become a market order. Okay, if how about, let's say the setup takes effect 4 hours later, do you still look at BTC and USDT chart before entering? I mean, if let's say for example, if I know that I want to look for short, right, because it's bouncing and then it's going up till it reaches the next support line or resistance line, right, my biasness will remain the same, right? And usually, usually when I already decide on what kind of short setup or long or short setup I'm looking at, usually I would prefer to get into a trade that has high chance to happen in I don't need to wait for the trade setup to take effect 4 hours later. Usually I would prefer to look for something that can take place in half an hour or 1 hour, that kind, or maybe 2, right? So I don't have to keep going back to check, right? I mean, we have like hundreds, thousands of tokens, right? So I'm pretty sure when I look for a trade setup along the way, I can find something that most likely gonna happen much faster or sooner compared to other tokens, right? This is also part of the filtering, right? So if let's say I do see a similar chart setup, right, but obviously, for example, although it's gonna happen in 5 minutes, the possibility of it to be a mature and ready to be a mature setup for me to enter is probably in 15 minutes, half an hour. Then another, for example, candle. Obviously, the candle is still quite far away from a support and resistance if I'm waiting for a breakup. Then obviously I'm gonna wait for undo, right? So that way I don't need to check before I enter again. Usually I'll see one time, unless, for example, like, because now if I short when USDT just bounce from a support, right? So from here to here, right, it's all my room for the trade to run, right? Unless if we are already, it's already halfway. Let's say instead of me seeing this candle, right, I start to look at the trade or market at 12, which is somewhere, which is where this candle closed, then we are already halfway within the range, right? Then if I still want to risk it again to see whether can it push further higher for me to have this much room to take profit for my short, right, then that might need me to, review USDT. But if it's already approaching the next resistance or support, then I would rather wait for a confirmation. That means if it's already here, then why not I wait for it to hit the resistance and come back and look for a long, instead of entering a short here, not knowing can it go down further, or what if it get rejected, come down, right? Then obviously it's become the price movement for the token gonna be more of a disadvantage to me. Don't need to be like, I would say, like, basically, as we always say, don't be ganchiong, right? Like sometimes if you are not in the most ideal setup environment, to trade, just simply wait for 1 or 2 more candles, right? Don't need to force the trade. Okay, if you only look at 10 coins, then yes, you already have limited pool of token as your potential candidates. And then out of this 10, you are looking for potential trade setups, and you still need to wait for them to match how the general market is moving. Then yeah, the more filtering, the more condition you are putting into looking for trades, then obviously it's gonna reduce your chance of finding a trade setup, right? Then, but if you decide to follow that way, that means you want to be more like trading at a lower risk and then play safer and then really do it properly, then stick to it, right? Remember, I think Coach Werner also shared one way, like you are at least you are looking at top 10, right? There's one way he mentioned he's like only look at one Ethereum and 4 hours, right? So if like you have to wait for days or even weeks for one trade setup to take place, that's all about waiting game. But when we talk about waiting though, right, don't put yourself in front of your computer, right, sitting in front of the chair and wait, right? Always just make use of the alert function, right? And instead of just waiting, right? So if let's say, for example, the top 10, you see a few trades set up, but it only takes effect maybe 5, 10, or even 12 hours later, simply set an alert. If it rains next day, right, if you saw your alert got triggered, then before you start, then take a look at USDT again, right? You don't look at USDT today, but you're waiting for the trade setup 2 days later, then obviously you will feel the waiting a bit exhausting, right? For Ondo, if there's no news, Ondo, what time is it? I'm looking at, okay, me deciding the short setup is because of the 7 p.m. candlestick close. Yes. So for me, this is the deciding factor. But for me personally, as I shared before, I have additional rule for me to enter the trade is I would only enter the trade, like if for short, right, I will only enter the trade if following candle price goes below the low of this candle. So if you zoom in, right, you look at this 7 p.m. candle, which closed at 8 o'clock, right? If you point your cursor on the candlestick, right, on top you can see they will be showing the value of this token, right? So you can see the low is 0.2619. That's why I have an alert for 0.2618, right? So when I have this alert on, right, that means following, do you see this doji here? It didn't go below, so I will not enter. I will only enter when the alert ran, which is the current candle. Then I will go in and put my limit order at 0.2618 because it's telling me that, okay, right now the price movement of this token is going lower than the engulfing candle, a bearish engulfing candle. Just my rule, because I felt that sometimes if I just jump in right after the bearish engulfing candle, right, but the following candle can U-turn. So for me, it's the testing, like the data collection telling me that, okay, it give me higher win rate if I wait for the next candle to go below. But that's just my additional criteria, right? But generally speaking, this trade setup itself, to me, is already a solid short. This combination of a stopper, which is a shooting star, and then bearish engulfing. Can set alert trigger link to the handphone or use handphone to set alert you can set on your laptop or on your handphone. They're all linked. So as long as you download TradingView app on your phone and then you enable the notification for your alerts, right? When it rings, if your laptop is on, your handphone is on, they will ring on both sides, right? You don't need to set it twice or set it again on laptop on your phone. Sometimes, like for example, I set this alert, it rings, I have received notification from on my phone also, right? Then if I want to change or delete, I can do on both terminals. Like I can do it on laptop, I can also do it on phone. Just cross below, right? Because this is an ongoing candle. If I wait for this to close below to the low, then it will be it will have run too far already. So basically, my confirmation is this candle that has closed. It's just for me to press the entering of limit order. I want the price to cross below. And this is also why you see my when I post my trade, it's usually not at the whole hour, because for example, this candle close at 8, right? But the crossing can happen at 9:30, 9:34, 10. Yeah, so okay, good. I miss any question? Let me go through again. Okay, did the result out yet? Oh. Okay, result out already. So the like just now when there's event, that's where you will see the price fluctuate like a lot faster and a lot more. Right now the result is already out. Right? So most likely, I mean, you were expecting the price movement to slow down a little bit. Right. So yeah, I mean this already moved so too far. Obviously not. Let's see if any token that still can enter. Okay, this one also cannot. Okay, candle. Oh, almost. I mean, it's already very near the next support. So this trade kind of like a pass. So I can remove it from my watch list already. I mean, there's still a chance for it to break down below, which will be a similar trade like Pepe. Yeah, but then no rush. Like this is the kind of trade I don't see happening so soon, right? So I won't keep it in the watch list. This is my daily watch list where I will look at like this few, right? But this one has already moved a lot. Then probably I'll only come back to it maybe one tomorrow, right? So for now, I can remove it out of my watch list already. Then another one, this one haven't. Like remember, just like I said, one of the trade I'm looking for is a potential short of World Liberty Finance if we break below, right? But it haven't. Now it's 9:55, right? So let's see if 5 minutes later it closed below. Then potentially this can be a short trade. Then this token I'll keep it in my watch list and take a look later in a few minutes time. Any more? Okay, tau. Okay, tau. I already talked about it just now. Right, this candlestick, if you close as a bearish engulfing candlestick, technically it's a retest. I mean, it's already a short of the trend, right? But because there's another support here, so similarly, I prefer this candle not only to get rejected, close bearish engulfing, but also close below the support, right? Then this could potentially be a trade setup. But one thing about tau is it's quite bullish, so and it can pump over time. So I'll be more cautious to short tau. Okay, Binance, nothing. Ethereum, no. Bitcoin, no. Okay, let's see. So when I set TP will usually 3%, no. I mentioned I always look for the past resistance or support, right? Percentage is not, I don't use fixed percentage. Okay, dot has retested, but already moved too far. INA, okay, INA. I mean, INA can, similar to the Pepe, right? It could be a potential breakdown, but it's too far away from 200 far also. See if we have anything that can give us a better risk to reward ratio. Virtual. Okay, virtual just had a dual breakdown from the support slash 200 MA. This one I can keep it in my watch list because I mean it's already, if it later close below, obviously it's a bit too far already, but potentially can see if it can give us a retest like that. That. Then yeah, but then this will be a waiting game already because it won't happen so fast. Okay. Then I can take a look again tomorrow. Okay, my watch list. Wow. Wow. Fine. Pound, okay. Pound also just, I mean the candlestick are very messy here, but we can see it has broken down from this support ish here, but the candlestick pattern too ugly. I mean, see. not much. So yeah, I think I'll just 10 already. Okay, so I remember I mentioned about WLFI. Okay, technically it did close below the support slash 50 EMA, right? So potentially can be a short, although there's a wick. So the low of this candlestick pattern is candlestick is 0.1149. So if I were to follow my rule, it should go below 0.1148. I will set an alert, see if later it gets triggered. Then if I short when it goes below, then my stop loss, I mean this is a whole range of accumulation previously, so I can put my stop loss above the highest in case there will be a wick out. And then my support next will be around this level. Okay, don't be too greedy around here. Okay, do I have a one-to-one? Close, but not there. Okay, let's see. So, what about ton? Ton moved so far from 200 MA. What do you expect to do now? Long or short? This range itself is support slash resistance range. Now it already broke below. I prefer not to short now because like your stop loss obviously has to be, I mean it's gonna be very far. But if we retest and get rejected here, then let's see how many percent is it. Let's say stop loss above the recent high, 3 point something. Then the most recent next support would be here. Like that. How many percent? Not so ideal lah. I prefer for it to have a proper pullback. Like if we were to hit here, but later have a proper pullback to give me a better entry, then it will be more ideal to me. If I go along this line, I'm risking a bit too much for a smaller percentage of potential win. I don't like. The indicator you see there, as I was talking about, I'm exploring. I mean, it's a generation of AI, right? I talked about it just now. I'm trying to explore of making use of AI. So it's a indicator I'm testing out, right? So it's not a published indicator, right? So yeah. Will I proceed? No, Andrew Stewart. Because personally, I do not trade. I do not place trade that risk to reward is less than 1. Honestly, 1-to-1 is already not. I mean, you already need a good win rate to be profitable. So why bother? I don't waste time on a trade that is like it's of a very bad risk to reward ratio because it doesn't make much sense. Why y'all can see the indicator. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, if it works out after I collect enough data, because one thing is not every, I realize not every indicator or strategy works on every token. So personally, I'm not still in the midst of testing whether it works on as many tokens as possible. So far, I only filtered to 3 tokens that works perfectly, give me a good win rate with the signal I'm testing. Right. Eventually, if it actually works out, I'll definitely share with you guys. Okay. But seriously though, like with the power of AI and coding and Pine, right? Life is much easier now. Clear my okay. Yeah, so exactly. So for me, I would prefer not to take the trade. Honestly, Ton I mean Ton is not even a coin I would trade on because just doesn't move as smoothly as I preferred. Right. Ton, I mentioned before, you can see the purple flag here. There's a few tokens I do not trade on futures. Actually, okay, some are like okay. Recently, the few tokens I don't trade on futures is Ton. TRX and Ton is two. I don't trade them on futures. I don't like the way they move. Okay, any more questions? Let's see. Okay, AR still this level. Okay, yeah, you can see it got rejected by 200 MA twice. Give me a double top, put down, retested, and get rejected again. Right, so this potentially can be a retest trade. But this, I don't like the land of the week. How many percent? 1.1. Okay, that's good. So if later it retests go below, how many percent is my stop loss? 5.5. TP 1.7. Yeah, never mind. Atom actually similar to Tau. After the pump is actually still holding an upward movement. So Atom, if let's say for the next few days or weeks, the market continue to go down, right? You can few days later, no rush, right? You can come back to see whether Atom U-turn and go down or not. Because right now you can see the just formed the first lower high, right? So if you break down, that will also be around the 200 MA. But this is the kind of trade I was talking about, right? Obviously, it's not going to happen in next few hours, right? So this one, no rush. AVEX. Okay, AVEX just showed a breakdown of 200 MA. Can possibly see whether you can catch a retest later. but here is another support. So you see whether it bounced this support stronger or later get rejected by 200 MA stronger. PCH. WLFI. Yeah, I mean 0.94 depends how tight I want my stop loss to be. If I don't give so much buffer, then it's around it's only high because this week here kind of annoys me, right? So depends on how optimistic I am with the potential price pump of World Liberty Finance, right? That's why if I put it very tight, then it's about 1, right? So yeah, see how desperate I am to short. Like, do I have any other candidates? But this one at least is close enough, right? Yeah, so if right on the dot, it's 1. But if I give more buffer, it's less than 1. Right? So it's a potential trade, but not as ideal. Will I be expecting crypto to go down even further or crash? Short-term wise, I'm more bearish bias. Right? Are you joining late of the session? Okay, next time try to come earlier because usually I'll put the general market analysis at the very beginning, right, before you go down to individual token. Okay, next time come early. But anyway, yeah, so just to repeat, just a recap, right? Short-term wise, I'm more on bearish biasness in the market because obviously most of the token has broken the major support, especially the big ones like Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Until it goes back up the major support and show a reverse of trend, I remain bearish. That means I expect it to go down further. But will it crash? I don't know because we still have support below, right? So if at any point in time, if you hit 65K and bounce back up, then obviously I'm going to change accordingly as the market situation change. If you hit 60K, 55K and bounce, right, then yeah, so will it crash? Depends on how do you define or what will you consider as a crash, right? Because even when the price go down, right, it doesn't go down one straight line, like a hot knife cutting through a butter, like that, right? So along the way, it will move like let's say it moves zigzag like that, right? For me, do I consider this as a crash? I won't. To me, it's just a downtrend movement, but normal, right? But if like this is okay, basically this is what I expect lah, right? I hope for. If it crash, then that's another story already, right? Do I expect this to happen? Not, right? Like I hope not, right? But again, I'm not guy. Earlier 6 p.m. Solana, 1 hour candle, close above 200 MA. This one. But it's not, would you consider a long? Yeah, this is why I mentioned, right? I will decide on my trade setup, like what kind of biasness I have in mind, by looking at the general market before I go down to individual token. So as I mentioned at the beginning, let's say beginning of the week, already decide, okay, I'm looking for short because I'm more bearish biased, right? Then even if it does close above, right, it's probably not something I will look for. I won't change my entire setup looking just because one token close above 200. Okay. Yeah, so let's say I come into the market, I open trading view basically with the mindset that I'm looking for something to short, right? Like out of, let's say, 200 tokens, I shortlisted 2 or 3 tokens to short, right? Then even if I come across Solana, and just because it closed above 200 MA, then suddenly I dump all the other tokens I'm waiting for, and I decide, okay, long, because Solana break up. Usually I don't trade that way. The general biasness or market outlook, I will hold for weeks or days, right? But of course, at the beginning of the day, like for example, just like I mentioned, right? If I am looking for shorts when like USDT go up, right? Then obviously, when it shows that there's a potential signs of it to, but if I do see, right, like it just hitting a resistance, so short term wise for next few hours, there's a potential of it pull back a little bit, right? That means market will stop dumping for a while. Now obviously, if I still want to short, I also don't want to start to short now, right? I would rather wait for it to go back, go back to an upward movement, then I look for short. So my general biasness is there, but how do I decide? Okay, like for example, if I know I'm looking for short for the entire week, right? But Tuesday morning when I wake up, for example, right, I see like previously because I have this resistance, right? So if Tuesday morning I wanted to look for a trade, but I see the price is right here, right? Now obviously I would rather wait for this candle to U-turn, then I continue to look for like short or long, right? Or if let's say for example, when I'm referring to this green candle. Let me zoom in. Okay, ignore whatever the actual timing, just example, right? So for example, I know that for since Monday, I know, okay, this week I'm bearish bias for the market outlook. So every time when there's a chance, I want to look for short, right? So from here all the way to here, right, it's very smooth for me to look for short, right? But Tuesday morning, I wake up, I'm looking at this green candle, right? It's hitting a resistance, right? Then I know that if I want to short, obviously for a safer or higher probability of winning, I should only short if we break above. Then it can continue go up. Means other token will continue to go down, right? So will I take the chance? No, I will see. Okay, let's see if later I can have can I have something like this, right? And since this thing didn't happen, right? And it got rejected and go down. Then obviously from here to here, I'm not gonna look for shorts. I just take a break, right? If this is Tuesday morning, that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 candles, 20 hours. That means Tuesday I probably won't be looking for trades, right? But later, Then a U-turn, this 20 hours. So this will be Wednesday morning already. Wednesday morning, I realized, oh, seems like it's for me a new support here, right? Press U-turn. Then from here to here, if I'm really desperately looking for a trade, right, then I continue to look for a short setup. The same thing in 8 hours time, because it's hitting resistance, I hold my horses, right? Then it get rejected from here to here. Can I look for short? Cannot, right? Then wait long. Then that's many days later. Now this week already. Okay, this week. Okay, now it's going back up. Now then I look for short. Okay. So if we want to, I mean, for me, like if I want to play the game like with the market movement more to my advantage, right? Waiting and wait for the right time to enter the market matters a lot. Okay. Because I look at 4-hour time frame as the candlestick pattern for USDT, right? So within these 4 hours, it can go up and down, but I don't chase, right? Just wait for the more of a confirmation. Then if you can, short here, you can trade a short here, good enough for a week or 2 weeks. Okay. Wait for the market's movement to be on your side. Then obviously, at least for me, increase the chance of me winning. Okay, so yeah. So I set alert to wait for retest for this one. Let's see how. Okay. Any more tokens want to go through? Yeah, see, this candlestick didn't end up close below the support, so got to wait for it to have a proper breakdown if it were to break down. Okay, that's about it. Any more questions? If not, can call it a night. PC result won't change my bias. Does it pump or suddenly change the entire market? No, right? I'm just avoiding the event state because there will be volatility. Right? See how fast it hit the TP, but now it's quickly recovering. So generally speaking, unless there's the news that obviously change the entire sentiment of the market, otherwise it won't change my biasness. It just for me to be cautious to trade within that time because there's volatility expected. right? Because I mean, it worked towards my advantage for this particular trade, right? But what if it worked the other way? Like it suddenly pump one candle, then come down, right? My bias setup still remain, but if let's say it pump during the event, right? What if it hit my stop loss? Not nice one. Welcome. Okay, shall we wait for 2 more minutes if anyone has more questions? Because there'll be, I mean, the YouTube comment box, the comment section always have like a lag, so I'm just gonna wait for a little longer. Otherwise, I might miss your question before I end. Okay, and if you have no more questions, then do enjoy your Friday and your Chinese New Year holiday if you haven't started working. Coach Bernard usually has more lines on USDT. Yeah, he has so many lines. I like to keep my chart clean. Like I don't like to have so many lines on my chart. Right. I mean, recent ones I would draw lah, but usually if it's somewhere a bit further, I would actually remove it along the way because I don't like, what chart is it? For example, my Bitcoin chart. Right, like if I have many support and resistance on smaller time frame, right, 4 hours, right, when I zoom out, right, it literally have like a whole, like a whole stack of lines there, which I don't like. For me, I prefer to just see the major support resistance. Right, along the way, if we form a, you see, to me this is already considered a lot. Right. Sometimes I will have to open an empty chart just to have a more visually appealing chart. But yeah, but along the way, like for example, you see like there's a new support form, then I just draw along, and after a while, if I don't use it anymore, then I'll just remove it. Will I move my stop loss after hitting TP1 or after the candle has moved 1% in the direction that I want it to? Usually TP1, because I shared before, right? For me to place a trade, right? After I enter the trade, that means I'm already in position. I don't like to look at the chart all the time, right? So how I do is I will put an alert and my TP1, and then one alert and stop loss. Right? That way I don't need to look at the chart anymore. If my alert and stop loss triggered, then I know the trade concluded. Right? Then if the alert at TP1 triggered, then only I go in to move my stop loss. Right? That's how I do it. Right? But I feel like I'm already very cautious in terms of protecting my TP. But if you want to be more cautious, play safer, move your stop loss when they move 1%, by all means, please do, right? It's always better to be safe than sorry. But also depends, because some token, right, 1% is really very tiny bit on the token itself, right? So if you move 1% during the price movement, it might easily hit. That means it will be stop up. So also judge by case basis, right? If you're trading Bitcoin, 1% is already a lot. Then you shift stop loss. But if for example, I use Ondo as an example. If you move 1%, right, it's about here, right? So if you move stop loss, by now you probably stop already. But for this case, if I move stop loss when it hit my TP1, yeah, I'm out of this trade also. So yeah, either way is fine. It doesn't matter for me. Actually, what matters most is to make sure we always win, be it winning big or small, as long as you don't lose. Like just to share, like yesterday I was in this particular trade. Can't remember what is it. What token is it? I forgot. But that trade I placed, the trade size I placed was 20K. Right. So for me is I place a limit order with stop loss and TP already entered, right? So when it hit my, then I will wait for the alert to trigger, right? When it hit my TP1, then I go in to move my stop loss, right? Then I realized, although I put a limit order of 20,000 on for that particular position, but the limit order is not filled fully. It's only filled for $40 out of 20K. So I still have a pending order of 20K, and then only $40 position is in position with a profit. I think my TP1 is about 1 point something percent. So I was like, on 5x leverage is about 7%. So I made like what, $3 from that trade. And since it has already moved to TP1, now obviously I'm gonna cancel whatever remaining order is there, right? I'm not gonna leave the limit order there, right? So I cancel my limit order to enter the trade, and then the $40 position that's the profit for that particular trade I get. But what to do? At least it's still a profit, right? Although it's not a lot, $3 coffee money, still good. Yeah, so 5x leverage, that would be 100K position. But it's like I was literally laughing because like I think I still have the picture. Wait, let me see if I can find. Let's see. Not sure if y'all can see this. It's like such it. Yeah, it's like the margin is $40. So when I hit my TP1, I only made I think it's I only made $2.70, $2.37. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a cup of coffee. I'll do it. Okay, now time is 10:35. I assume there's no more questions. If we hit full amount on TP1, full amount TP1, if hit get $2, let me do the calculation. Okay, 20 divided by 40, 20K divided by $40, that's 500x. So if 2.37 times 500x, I will have made TP1. At TP1, I will have made 1,001. But instead, I made $2.37. Go? You're asking me go, or as in the trade is on TR, not go. I assume you're asking for go. Go same as silver. It pumped again. Okay. It broke up here. Like, as in you're asking to trade gold. I mean, now it has already broke out, retested, right? And then now these two can already move quite a bit. What do you want to do with gold? If you caught it here, then yeah, if you caught it here too long, then it still makes sense. But right now it's already in the middle of nowhere, right? Either wait for it to hit some resistance and pull back for retest too long, or if it breaks out too long again. So let's look at a bigger time frame. Yeah, so it already broke out, but there's a resistance at about 5,090 plus minus. Right, so we're already in the middle. I won't do anything. Let's see how it reacts to this level. Right. Does gold also follow? Gold is a bigger asset compared to BTC and USDT. Right, so they are related because gold and fiat money and crypto related, but not in the correlation that gold go up, Bitcoin will go up, right? In fact, for stable asset like gold, when they go up, it actually usually means that the riskier asset like crypto should go down, right? But of course, like one thing, if you look at the past few days, basically the gold price and silver price is not going like as regularly as the past, right? Ever since the pump. If you look at, this is a Binance chart, so you don't have much historical data. If you look at the actual gold chart, right, it was actually very smoothly and stably moving for the longest period of time until the pump happened, right? So usually the low risk asset is the opposite side of movement against high risk asset. So they don't follow each other. As in, they don't follow each other, especially, they don't follow each other. They usually go against each other. The 20K margin, is it on? This one is no, it's 150K account. Okay. Cool. Gold, like you can see, this resistance also holds quite a bit of weight. So if we break above, possible to have more upward movement. Let's see where it goes. Okay, welcome everyone. All right, that's all. Wish again everybody happy holiday. Right, see you guys at maybe our live events or our KR events or our retreat soon if you are coming. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining on a holiday night plus a Friday night. Okay. Hope y'all have learned something or cleared some doubt. Good night everyone.